Hey guys, this is the Foxy Gamer, and today I'll be showing you how to use the A.A.C. Now, this will be a little series of how to use the newest version and some of the oldest or other versions. So let's get right in. So, when you get a new A.A.C, you have these two things, and you might be wondering, what are these two things? Well, first off, this is the X Show controller, and this will play back your show tapes. And over here is the A.A.C, the recorder. Now, I'll be showing you a separate video about how to use this thing, but as of right now, we're going to try to use the A.A.C. So let's just put this thing on the side. Now I'm going to start off with how to set up a hinge. So what you want to do is you want to go inside the A.A.C, you want to open it, screen, surface GUI, main, your animatronic 1, recording buttons, and record input. So there's a bunch of these buttons here, right? I'll show you what the rest does, but we're going to do one for now. And we can rename this to anything. So I'm going to rename it to mouth. I'm also going to rename this to mouth. Right there. So you can go inside of the mouth button and there's a setup folder. Now you don't want to go inside the don't touch unless you're trying to do a mod. So we have these two values, the angle value and a hinge constraint value. So let's start with the angle value. So in properties, there's a number value, which is this. This is the number value. And basically you can change it from 35 to like 90 or whatever angle you want your hinge to go out. If you want your hinge to go the opposite way, you just do -90, forward 90, and so on. Basically, that's the angle setup. Over here is the hinge constraint setup, and it's an object value. So what you want to do is either go in the Explorer and find your hinge constraint, which for me it's in these folders, and then here's the hinge constraint. Or you can do a separate way, which is going to model, constraint details, clicking this, and then clicking the hinge constraint you want to use. So right here, and then we have it. So those are two separate ways you want to do that. So now you have your hinge constraint set up to this button. Now you have your hinge constraint set up. You want to set up your audio next. So go back to main here. So it's like beyond your animatronic 1, so it's main. There's something called show tape sound. You want to go in there, there's a sound. So you put your sound ID inside of here. Okay? And basically what it does is it takes the time length of the sound and it basically makes it the length of recording for your show tape. And after that, you have the A.A.C set up. Now you might be wondering about the other things, like what are these buttons on the side, or what does this on the bottom do, or why do we have a bunch of buttons here? And I'm gonna tell you. So these buttons on the side, you see how in here there's your animatronic 1 and your animatronic 2? These buttons switch between different GUIs. So this is animatronic 1. I make that invisible, and I go to animatronic 2. There's animatronic 2, and so on. So these, you could switch to different animatronics. So you can have a movement row for this animatronic, then another movement row for another animatronic, and so on. And you can add more buttons in here. So in A.A.C screen character switcher, surface UI main, you have these buttons. You can add another button, call it CR3. In the script, what you want to do is you see these two things right here. Basically, you want to add another animatronic. So your animatronic, duplicate that, make it your animatronic 3, and so on. And then what you want to do is you want to make this false, which says your animatronic 2 visible equals false. You want to make that false, it should say true or something else. You want to make the rest false. Then you want to copy it, paste it, make this one true, call it your animatronic 3, and then after that you want to go into two other button scripts, and then you want to do it. You want to make it so basically your animatronic 3 is false for the other buttons. So when you click the other buttons, it's false. But when you click your animatronic 3, it's true. And so on. And you can keep doing that until you have like a bunch of animatronic things or different type of things. So now let's get on to the recording part. So in View, there's something called Output. And this is where your show tape will output to. This is where all your recording and show tapes will output to. So now let's get to recording. So let me play the game. And then what you want to do is you want to click on the button to start recording. And then so when it starts recording, you click E on your keyboard to move the mouse. So let me record. Is your name Beach Bear? And I said, why sure, you're just the boy we've been looking for. So after your show tape done, you'll get this, which is the recording playback for this singular movement. So you want to go here, not this. Don't select this. Only select here. Want to scroll all the way up. Select these two dots, not higher, not lower, like that. Copy it. So Control C, or you can click copy. And now we have a script. So if you put a script here, new script, you delete this and you paste in your stuff. And we can call this script like mouth. What it does is basically whenever this script's enabled, it'll play back those movements. So that means you can have another script that enables all these scripts with a sound, which A.A.C already has that feature for the buttons here, because the buttons, when you press them, it'll enable the recording. So what you want to do is you want to put it, if you just want to test it, you can put it inside whatever button you want to. So I'm going to put it in record input and name this to play. Then I can go up here, put this inside don't touch, go into inputter, put script dot parent dot, because if you put your script inside of this folder, inside the don't touch folder, then what this is putting here is script dot parent. So it's the script's parent, which is this folder, and then the name of your script. So for me, it's mouth enabled equals true. So it's enabling the script when we click it. And then we can go on the bottom here where it says false here. We can make a new row and put script.parent.mouth.enabled equals false. So it stops it when you click it again. And now you can, for me, I could just delete this, the main system, because we're not really using it, because this button's only going to be for playing back. And then we could just delete inside the inputter, we could delete this, and we could delete that and that. So now if I go in here and I click play, is your name Beach Bear? And I said, why sure, you're just the boy we've been looking for. I was framed. Oh, I was framed. Well, I swear I never do nothing wrong. And that's how you play back a show tape. Now, my programming was a little bit trash because I was like in a hurry, but you just do the same thing multiple times. So then you do for ARM. In new versions, we're gonna have it so you can basically record multiple movements, and it doesn't have to. Maybe if we can get it to work, it doesn't have to output and output. It'll just like generate a script in Workspace, which you could just copy and then leave playing and then paste it in. and maybe some feature where it saves your last recorded thing so you don't lose your recordings, stuff like that. But this is the current A.A.C version, and that's how to use it. And for this thingy over here, this guy, it basically does the same kind of thing with this. Is basically you go inside it, X-Shell controller, main directory, OS, no, not stuff, trajectory, screen, surface UI, and shows. Then your show 2, your show 3, and it has the same activator thingy. So you don't, activator doesn't work. You have to use activator backup. So an activator backup, it's the same thing. So basically, it's the same thing as the other thing. You could put it inside the button here, your show tape, or you can put it, or you could put it in the shows folder as it says here. So this folder, and then do your show, and then enabled equals true or false for this top one and bottom one. And then you can also add a sound here. So sound, your sound audio, and then we can make it so script. So because the sound is in the button, script dot parent dot sound play, and it'll play the sound. And you can do the opposite. So on the bottom here, it will stop the sound when you click it again, and it'll also stop your show, and so on. So that's how to use the auto animatronic composer and the X show controller. Also, there's other things like how to set up like multiple keybinds. It's basically each one of these buttons is a different recording setup. And you basically, just like how I did it with the mouth here, connecting the hinge and setting the angle, you do that, and it would automatically connect to the show tape sound and automatically get the show tape, like the recording length. It's basically all these buttons, and you can add more, because basically these buttons are all standalone, so they all have their own standalone script, so it doesn't use some main central script. So basically you can rename them, and you can duplicate them, and then move, and then go here and move the position to like the side, so like 60, and you can move it to the side and stuff, and then you could add more movements if you wanted to, and so on. And that's how to use the A.A.C V2. I hope you guys liked this tutorial, and probably in the next couple of days or so, or soon, I'll probably make tutorials for the other ones too. But this is just a main central tutorial about how to use the newest A.A.C.